Very good. Okay. Oh, good. We got more people here. Nice to see everybody. Thanks for hanging out with me here. Okay, so let me just get the slides going here. Get myself on the screen. Hey, Gilbert. How's it going, man? Good to see you. Okay, can I manipulate the slides? Yes, I can. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to, nice to start the new year with all of you. And I wanted to do this on the subject of foundations for 2021, just some inner work stuff, which is, what I like to talk about, what I like to focus on, and some different things. It's not 1/4/20, it's 1/4/2021. And some of the different things that have really helped me get through 2020 and really helped go deeper with my practice, just better understanding about how to apply this stuff in life. It's a good test, of course. Things really hit the fan in many different ways, and I know many of you here had much more intense things than I did. But it wasn't a light one for me either, certainly with breaking my knee, which is still an ongoing recovery, and losing my primary profession of being a musician, which is also, of course, my primary source of income. Gave me a real chance to kind of practice what I preach, so to speak, and see, okay, yeah, this stuff is all nice and good when everything's kind of, life is sort of rolling your way, more or less, than to see how this stuff applies and where the rubber meets the road. And I was really happy to get some better insights on things and also find out that this stuff really does work. And boy, does it really matter more than ever when things are challenging for you. So today's call, I'm looking at approximately 60 minutes, and this will be more me presenting and doing some guided exercises together. There'll be a chance for Q&A via text in the chat at the end. The replay is always on innerwork.space or on the YouTube channel, which is often easier. This is also live in the Facebook group, which most of you are in. But if you're seeing this somewhere else and you're not in it, you have some links here on the page. They're all from innerworkcoach.com. That's my site where you can link up with me, contact me, work with me in different ways. Facebook group, which is where we can interact there. The YouTube channel where this replay will go and all the other calls. Just about set up to start doing some more things there as well. And the blog where I give away a 30-minute session to one person each month who leaves something in the comments. So feel free to check all that out. I've gotten some good feedback there. Of course, I am not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, any kind of psychologist, so anything I'm talking about here is just from my background as a meditator. I am certified, is that the word? Trained with other people in a lot of these techniques like EFT and meditation and going into some emotional work. And I've worked with people on some very intense things, but with the understanding that I am what I am. I'm not a medical professional, so don't consider this medical advice. Don't let this override any medical advice you're getting because I gave some idea in your mind and then you say, well, so I guess that means I don't need surgery or something. Be careful of any of that stuff. I'm very grateful that someone operated on me last year when my kneecap was in 2 pieces. So I'm glad I didn't try to just meditate that away. Use at your own discretion, listen to your body, listen to your own sense of what might be needed for you. There's one coaching slot available. Some of you here already do that. If you're someone who's worked with me before and want to work together every week at a significantly lower rate than it's going to be, you can contact me through the site. And it's only for people who have worked with me at least once before, so you should already know how to contact with me. Otherwise, innerworkcoach.com if you'd like to schedule something and work together. So let's dive into this, shall we? Oh, good. I see there's even more people here. Welcome to all of you. It's nice to be here with you at the beginning of the year. So here's my first sort of foundation for 2021. And I've said this a lot, but I don't feel I can emphasize it enough, more to myself. I can't emphasize this enough to myself. And it's really been significant, especially with physical pain, physical issues, where you have very concrete reminders of challenges in your life and different things you're working on, different things you're working towards. as well as being someone who, if you're on a call like this, likely is versed in other sort of techniques. You listen to different teachers from different backgrounds. You might have your own processes you use, your own even certifications. What's really, really brought this home for me is the significance and the reminder of making sure that this type of inner work that you do, whatever method you choose, is to understand that it's a physical, or you could use the word visceral process. So let's just take a deep breath together. And one more where you're really putting your attention on feeling that breath move through the body. And just staying with that for a moment. Do you feel how this is an actual physical experience? You might feel your state change a little bit. You're able, I talk about this a lot, I call it guided awareness. You can move your attention more onto my voice, but you can also move that attention more onto the air as it moves through your nose or your mouth. And feeling the physical sensation, the experience of your body. And if you're someone who's into letting go, which I am, that aspect of inner work, I want you to think of it for a moment of just literally just dropping some tension, like just a physical action, a visceral experience of I'm clinging to something, whether that's mentally or emotionally, without thinking about how to do it, just relax, just exhale it. And just keeping your attention a bit on the fact that this is something that is happening in real time. It's a matter of directing your attention. If you're using a breathing technique, it's a real-time experience of the breath moving through the body, doing what it's doing, and bringing your attention to it. I don't care if you're saying a mantra or doing even a more sort of involved type of practice. It's an experience-based action, right? And so that is when you're actually doing something. That's when you're doing inner work. And this attention on the breath, this focusing and being present, this feeling where there's tension in your body and relaxing it, this tapping on your collarbone, this can be done in life at any time. You can be sitting here watching television, you can be on the subway, you could be listening to this call, and you can be doing it in a sort of disconnected, just taking in words, just taking in the images kind of thing. Or you can be feeling. You can be connected to your body. You can be experiencing and processing what's going on for you. You can be cooking something in the kitchen. And again, if you're tuned into what you're doing, you're feeling the experience, a thought comes up that bothers you, you can dwell in that thought, or you can breathe, you can do something visceral and physical. And the more you're doing that, the less you need to know about anything, the less anything matters, the more everything starts to make sense because your body, your soul, if you call it that, however you conceptualize it, that stuff is all here and now and in real time. And it's just a matter of bringing your attention to that. And so all the philosophizing, all the sort of sitting there stewing about, well, what should I do? Maybe I should study this. Maybe I should listen. Well, didn't this teacher say I should do this or that? Most 98% of that is nonsense. And a deep breath, a feeling into what you're feeling right now, understanding that this body, this whatever you actually are, is right here, right now, in real time, the most important thing and where the deepest answers are. The more that's a felt thing, which is as simple sometimes as feeling your body, versus something you think about or try to grasp, try to figure out the right way to go about doing it, This for me has been essential. So I'm going to take a moment here for myself, and feel free to join me, to just really feel my body. Just notice how I have this ability to direct my attention, that all the thoughts and feelings and sensations, that I can observe them, but I don't have to proactively detach from them in order to observe them. In fact, the more I just feel my body and almost like give myself a hug, make it a very visceral, just feeling that breath, appreciating it, that's when I'm in the zone. That's when things start to make sense. That's when arguments, things that have been bothering me, start to come into focus and start to dissolve because they know how to dissolve. The less I'm in there trying to sort them out and pick out all the little details and think, well, which one should I journal about and which one should I tap on? I just feel into my body. I might start tapping automatically like I just did. Any self-consciousness about talking in front of a bunch of people right now? Just feeling that all kind of flow through me, and encouraging you to just do the same. Whatever is coming up in your life, whatever you're reflecting on in 2020, just let it happen while you focus on the visceral experience of your body, your energy, everything doing what it needs to do. It understands what to do. And I more and more see any of these processes like EFT, which I love, or breathing practices. They're designed to help you connect or reconnect, or just remind you, just kind of smack you back in out of your thinking about stuff, out of your strategizing, and be like, oh yeah, it's right here. The answer is right here. Life and everything that I'm trying to connect to is right here. Now, when you are, as I say in the bottom here, when you are maybe tackling a subject or you have a goal that you're working on, yeah, I have structures I like to use. I like the goals process out of Sedona method. I've tried to make it a point to do that daily. I have my own goals process that some of you have seen, which is a matter of connecting to the feeling of what it is I want, and then you can look at that on the site if you don't already know it, and you probably have your own. And having that little bit of structure is great if you need it. But you'll notice that it's about like 5% at max. And then you kind of have your structure, you have your things that you know work for you, you have your meditation practice that you like. Cool, you got it. Then like 98% of it, 95% of it in this case, is the actual doing of it, right? So it's just to also sort of calm down that voice that goes into extremes and says, well, what are you saying? You never plan about anything? And that's just our own minds that want to be black and white and want to make everything into a problem. It's like, no, that's fine. It's fine to have a structure. It's fine to have a class. It's fine to follow a teacher. Idea of things being visceral and physical and present, that includes the people around you. It includes the teachers you find that you like. It includes the classes you take. But it's a matter of actually being present and involved with them and feeling them and being alive in the moment. So hopefully that resonates and is a useful maybe reminder. I know all of you here are experienced with it. Another thing I found useful, and obviously in 2020, between doing much less music, I worked with people a lot more one-on-one work, a lot more calls where I worked on people, worked with people privately. And I really found it valuable to place this emphasis on just sort of calming down and centering yourself is a really useful first step. So a lot of times that's just where you need to go. You're just freaking out, or you don't, maybe it's not at the level of intensity where you realize you wouldn't call it freaking out about something. But it's like, oh, I'm trying to work on money, I'm trying to work on this or that, or I'm trying to go towards this goal, or I'm trying to get deeper into my practice. And there's just a lot of stuff still going on, a lot of emotional energy, a lot of thinking going on. And so to start and just recognize, like, okay, let's get to a foundation first where we can then dig into something or go deeper into something. A little similar to warming up, getting the blood flowing when exercising. Or if you are really triggered and upset about something, that these tools like the breathing, tapping, connecting to your body, you don't have to jump right in to whatever's bothering you. You don't have to jump right into the deep end. That it's perfectly valid and often essential and can be inhibiting your progress if you're not doing this, to give yourself some space where it's like, okay, the purpose of right now, even if it's just the first 5 minutes of whatever you're doing, is just to help calm the system down and to get myself a little centered and grounded in here. That's why I generally like to start with some breathing with a guided awareness, meaning you follow the breath as it moves through your body and you let that attention move wherever it's going. Now, as you think of something that may be a little bit upsetting to you or why you're really on a call like this, what I encourage is not to think of this like when you're telling yourself, okay, calm down, where it's that can, for many of us, feel like you're trying to sort of suppress what's going on. Say, okay, well, let's not think about anything that's upsetting us, or we just got to get calm first. It's not it's not like a fighting anything to be calm. It's just recognizing that, okay, the system, the body could use a little bit of space to just be with, get grounded and get centered in whatever is going on right now before we're jumping into any practice or before we're like trying to do a breathing or more of a meditation. So if you're upset about something, for example, I'll generally be tapping and breathing and just letting all of those feelings that I'm upset about, right? Okay, I'm scared about this injury, right? Okay, there's this new pain. I'm not sure what's going on here, right? Before I jump in and I'm trying to like work on that, so to speak, it's like, okay, I'm giving some space for those thoughts. I'm not fighting them, but I'm thinking of it more like when you're petting a dog or something. It's just like, okay, we're just setting aside a little bit of foundation here for everything to say, okay, I hear you, right? I hear what you're saying. And the body may have tension. It's like, well, let's give that a little bit of space to be felt. Let's let everyone get comfortable in the room, metaphorically speaking. And this goes back to the first point of acknowledging what's actually there, but making it visceral, like really just feeling if there's some nervousness, if there's some tension in the stomach, or you're scared about something. There's plenty of things that a lot of you may have going on right now. I mean, another place I play in New York just closed. It's like, oh, it's all closing down. That can be, okay, what's my future? So I bring that up. So before I'm just jumping into like, okay, well, let's visualize a better future. Let's psych myself up. Let's say it's all going to be great. Let's just feel what's going on. Calm first. Not an idealized version of being 100% completely zen about everything. That might not be accessible. But just saying that this is the point of focus right now. Just help everything feel welcome. Like, okay, your anger, your upset, your fear, it's allowed to be here. We're taking inventory. We're letting yourself feel what's going on, and that we can move from there. Hopefully that makes sense and is useful. Feel free to let me know if there's any questions about any of that. This is just an extension of that, right? From a centered place, I find that's where it's more effective. You can choose to go deeper. And if you watch a lot of good facilitators, this is happening anyway, right? There's even in EFT, if you're doing it as a lot of people do it, and as I tend to do it, there's first that sort of acknowledgement of what's going on. It's like, yeah, I feel scared. I feel upset. I'm not sure what's going to happen next. That's helping everything just sort of acknowledge the reality that's there, kind of come to terms with it, and you start to feel a little bit more centered in it. From here, now you can choose to go deeper into, okay, if this doesn't work out, what does that mean about me? Or what do I really fear the most about this? If my career were to disappear, or if no one hired me again, or if I'm afraid to put my videos out there, or afraid to put my writing out there, right? Once that's sort of come to terms with, and the system's not just firing on all cylinders saying, oh, it's scary, it's bad, you now have some space to go, okay, what's deeper underneath this? And that's generally where the deeper, more interesting things come up, right? And as someone who facilitates a lot myself, you see you can get to that next layer here, where it's like, yeah, there's the obvious fear, there's the obvious uncertainty, but from that space, you can now sort of get to the sense of, okay, it's not just the discomfort of having to, make adjustments in my profession or take my work online or something. There's a whole other layer behind it, like, well, if I do that, it means I failed. Or there's a voice saying, oh, you're a quitter. And then you can follow that voice. And where did you first hear that? Right? You get sense of deeper things of the identity, deeper things that your family or parents told you that have kind of sunk in, or society, or you just picked it up from the world around you. When there's a little bit more space there, you can then make the choice to go in deeper and explore those things. And obviously, I recommend going deeper and exploring those things. But hopefully you find it beneficial, if you're not already doing it, to see it from like, okay, first there's the acknowledging, there's the calming, there's the getting yourself feeling visceral and connected to what's going on. Let that process as it needs to. Then when you have some room, your sort of awareness has space to say, okay, can I explore this a little further? Can I go deeper into what's actually happening for me? The next thing I've really found during 2020 is that consistency is key. It's very, very significant if you'd like to keep progressing further in whatever progressing means to you, which that's the thing that we're going to talk about next. It's really, really common to stop any of your meditating, to stop doing inner work, to stop breathing and feeling in your body once that edge is off, right? I'm really upset. This really upsetting thing just happened. Okay, let's get me back to sort of zero. And then it's like, okay, cool, we're back to zero. That's something to be careful of. Now, granted, if you're doing that, if you're approaching it that way and not just throwing things at the wall and punching people in the face, you're doing better than a lot of people, right? The fact that you're even using inner work or connecting to yourself in any way to even deal with what's upsetting you, it's like round of applause to anyone even doing that, right? But I've noticed a big one is that sense of I'm only inspired to do some work on myself. I'm only inspired to breathe or meditate or work with someone else or work with a buddy or work with a facilitator, like when the shit has totally hit the fan. And it's not a good approach for growth. It's a good approach for like baseline maintenance, right? So if you're injured like I am, if I only ever exercise in my life just when I'm injured, or I only saw someone or only went to yoga like just to get back to functional, right? That's that's all you're doing, which is not bad. It's admirable, right? But using that metaphor, to actually get stronger, to actually go further, is to do it when things are okay. And in fact, the more okay you are, the deeper you can go, right? If you have healthy joints and muscles, now you can really get into some stuff, right? So if you're kind of having a good day and you don't have anything like particularly uh, freaking out, that's the best time to start actually looking at something where, okay, I want to go further with my money. I want to go further with my practice. I want to go further with my career. Great. I don't have 10 things just absolutely pulling on me that require all of my attention just to get me to zero. So one of the things I loved in 2020 about having people I work with every week, I have a handful of people that's, that's the format, is we work together in some capacity, generally every week, at least a couple times a month. It's no longer, oh, I don't have a huge problem in my life, so I guess there's nothing to talk about. It's like, no, that's exactly when there's stuff to talk about. So as soon as there's some space for that, it's like, okay, so what's ideal for you? Where do you actually want to take your business this year? Then you look at that and you go, well, I'm not sure if I could actually do that. Then now you do have something to work on. There's always something there. But if you're coming at it consistently, meaning you're doing it even when things are kind of okay in your life, that's how you're going to get further. And that analogy probably can extend to just about anything you can think of, right? It's like cramming for a test versus actually learning something. And you can have big breakthroughs with inner work and spirituality. Most of you probably have, where you have those sort of breakthrough moments and things do maybe shift in a significant way. But still, the most shift if I kind of look back at my life musically and my life as someone who's been interested in meditation and practicing this stuff for probably 10 years or so now, most of the progress is sort of this, oh wow, I look back and realize, oh, I'm different. But there wasn't this, January 15th, 2015 that I had that breakthrough and then I was never afraid to go on stage again, right? It's those number of those moments are small. They're awesome. But most of them are these consistent little gradual things where you don't even necessarily notice them so much. So I hope that is helpful to you. And in this instance, I do recommend you have, especially at the beginning of the year, you say, okay, I'm going to do 10 minutes a day of focusing on a goal in an inner work way. Or I'm going to tap on this particular subject every day for just one round or 5 minutes. Because if you just do that, right, by the end of the month, you've done a lot of minutes. And you can actually start to experience what happens when you work with something consistently in this way. And the worst thing you can do, in my opinion, is think of these sort of techniques as like they're just these in case of emergency break glass techniques that are only to be turned to when when something has reached maximum pain. I look at them, maybe why I'm drawn to this stuff and why I approach it the way I do is because I'm a musician by profession, which is like practicing the bass. It's just what you do, right? Practice. I don't wake up and think, do I want to practice today? It's my job to practice, even when there is no live performing for the next several months. That doesn't mean I'm not going to practice the bass right after this call. That's absolutely what I'm going to do. Because when there are live performances or the remote recording I do, I'm not okay with uh, declining. I want to be moving forward. So that's my thoughts on consistency. Maybe the biggest one for me last year was clarity. Clarity is key. And this was something I really benefited from. I started thinking about it a lot towards the end of 2019, before things changed so dramatically. And a lot of you know I talk a lot about working with Brad Yates. I've been working with a lot one-on-one and in a group. And I sort of stole this from him too with my own coaching that I offer, which is like in order to do my first session with him, you had to fill something out and sort of talk about what some of your goals are and what some of the beliefs are behind that. And that was just so valuable, And it's not something that's new to me. I mean, it's obviously something I've taught and done to some degree, but really being held accountable to it had me really thinking about, clarity is in some ways everything. Why are you actually doing any of this? What's the point? What are your goals? That sort of often extends, those are an extension of what is the vision for your life. And then are your practices, the teachers you're following, are who you're following, what you're listening to, what you're doing, actually in alignment with those practices. So that helped me refine things a lot. And it helped me really refine not only like in an inner way, it's like, okay, what actually makes an impact on me internally versus just doing something that goes through the motions. Who or what recordings, or when I listen to them and work with them, do I feel like, okay, my life is different at the end of the month, at the end of the week, because I worked with this person and I followed their exercises, right? And I got a lot of that from Brad. And so it was like, okay, I'm going deeper with him. But also that's one aspect of my life. So in terms of not just being a bass player as being my profession, getting really clear more and more that like that's still what I am fundamentally, as far as what my main inspiration and passion. Gun to my head, you can only do one thing. It's going to be play the bass. And one of the things that 2020 may have revealed for some of you, it certainly did for me, is even if, like I said, even if there's no gigs, even if the future of, and even if there may be no such thing as having a full-time career playing it, it's still what I'm going to do. It's still what I think about. It's still where a lot of energy goes. Now, will I have to make adjustments for money and other things? Yes, but I can do that. And I can understand where those fit, right? But that also applies with the inner work. So am I doing inner work specifically on my limitations and my goals and challenges with the instrument? No. Well, why wouldn't I be doing that? That's the number one thing, right? Number two would be, okay, am I doing inner work? What am I talking about? What kind of calls am I doing? What kind of offers am I making, right? It helps clarify some of these things in your life on a practical level. So the more you use these tools to just ask the questions, right? Okay, why am I doing this today? Why am I meditating? You may not have to ask that anymore, several of you. You may just, it's just that you know it, or you just do it and you're already on that path. But there may be some areas of your life where it's really relevant. And then it's kind of, is what I'm doing with my inner work, in this case, what we're talking about today, on point with that? Is it connected to that in some way? From that, I often find the outer things start to clarify themselves a bit more too. Like, why didn't I do 100 YouTube videos, or start an Instagram account, or try to get more well-known that much in 2020? Because I had a small group of people who were willing to work with me every week. And that's more interesting to me. I don't want an Instagram account. I want to work with people that like to work, that I already like working with. So from that, it made that sort of noise about, oh, what should I do, much more clear, right? This is how I want to work. Now I can extend that and sort of learn and grow from there. But it's very valuable. So it's not just the broad vision of like, okay, I want to start a business, or I want to have more clients, or I want to start coaching. But okay, well, what does that look like? Does that mean you have group classes with 20 people in them? Does it mean you have 5 clients, right? I wouldn't want 500 clients, because I need time to practice the bass. So I sort of have had to get clearer on these hierarchies. Now, as far as the theme of the day, inner foundations, one more time, to whatever practices you're doing, your meditation, your EFT, um, are they in alignment with what really matters to you? And have you taken the time to be really honest about what you're trying to do? One thing to be very careful of with meditation, inner work, spirituality is sometimes these things mistakenly seem like they're just catch-alls. Catch-all meaning like you just work on one thing and it just fixes everything or applies to everything. That's not been my experience, right? it's very easy to get sucked down rabbit holes and confuse purposes. Like, I've been listening to a lot of Muji, but my business isn't thriving. It's like, well, why are you equating those two things, right? And if something is not improving something, then it's just not. You just have to acknowledge it. And you can't make a rule about any of this stuff. You just have to look at your own life, your own results that you're getting, and get clear. So clarity is key. Is this, if you're into like a self-inquiry path, which is amazing, just, well, would you expect that to make you a better basketball player? Probably not. Not more than actually training, right? So I've seen this a lot over the years, and in myself too, where some of the energy is almost misguided, because like I really want to build this thing, or I really want to start this business, and I got it in my head, or I misinterpreted some teaching or some techniques which just blatantly try to sell you on certain things, like, oh, don't worry about any of that, just meditate and do this, and then that's all going to fall into place. On a very deep level, there's ways that that's totally true, but it's not in this way when you're trying to avoid something, or you're not actually tuned into what matters to you and are addressing it. Because even self-inquiry and just sort of pure introspection, to do that really honestly has to incorporate, yeah, I actually want a business, or I don't want to live this way anymore, or I actually want to be famous, whatever, you know. Because you also get clarity when you examine those things, realizing like, I don't actually really care that much about it, but I do care if no one's hiring me to play bass for them. And then there's certain steps that I have to adjust in my life and use the inner work to really examine that. So hopefully that's clear. Again, I'll take all the questions and everything at the end, but feel free to type them at any time. Another foundation, very important for me over the last year, has been support and working with people at a high level. It's easy for me to grasp this one musically, because by far the way you grow the most musically is when you're playing with someone better than you, or more significantly playing with a master, just someone who elevates your game. It's easy to be playing in your room and thinking whatever, but when you're in the game with people, with a coach, that's when it becomes very clear to you. Okay, this is the level I'm playing at, and there's that motivation, inspiration. So despite the economic hit on a lot of levels, for, I'm in a profession's totally severely impacted in 2020. I'm sure I spent more than I've ever spent on like personal, like working with coaches and taking some classes and training, both on inner work and EFT, and like some understanding of more like business tech side things, working with other people, helping them with their platforms, things like that. And it's similar to stocks in some way, where it's like a lot of times the time to really invest, if it's possible for you, whether that's investing time, energy, money, is when it's like, ooh, things are a little shaky right now. It's like often when you just want to, okay, I just want to go in my bedroom. I don't want to talk to anyone about it. I don't want to spend a cent, right? That's a common impulse that I'm familiar with on a personal level, but it's really been beaten out of me. It's like, okay, that's when I'm more doing my own calls, taking them with other people, really just kind of helping me kind of stay in that, or help pull me out of where I can tend to go on my own, especially when there's a lot more time alone. So this can include, depending on what your situation is, your favorite recordings, right? Those meditations, those, like I can think of some specific tracks from specific classes I've taken, right? If you took like one of GP's inner reconciliation courses, or, if you're in Brad's group or anything like that. Oh, okay, yeah, that one exercise that really hit home. Don't just do it once. Like put those, organize those in a folder, on a playlist on your phone, right? Hit the things that at least the recording kind of, you're in an elevated level, so to speak. Like at least someone is there, even if they're there in a recorded form, kind of helping up that game, or you're listening to Muji's voice or something while you're doing more of a, self-inquiry type of meditation. But if you're able to do it, to be around those people who you got the best results with, whether that's trying to especially now with COVID, everyone's doing some kind of online class, some online way of working together. So be around the people that lift you the most. Um, this might be the final one for now. Is a big one for me. Is that life happens, right? And it can be easy to self-judge or judge your own progress, judge where you're at with your inner work based on like, oh, if anything happens in my life, it's somehow a personal failing. But look, things are going to happen that you cannot control. None of you could have controlled or foreseen. If any of you own a restaurant, my friends that own restaurants, my friends that own jazz clubs and performance venues, they didn't necessarily do anything wrong here, right? I mean, I broke my knee inside the doctor's office, just trying to get a physical checkup, right? Like, who sees that coming, right? I was there trying to be. So these kind of things, they will happen in your life. And even if you believe you create your own and you can control it all, it's going to happen to someone you love, right? Um, so I see these tools, this inner work, as something to help us through this, help us navigate these challenges with better grace, less suffering. You can potentially learn some really deep insights. I certainly have from this year, develop greater appreciation. Sometimes you realize like, okay, this really slowed me down, both the career slowdown and physically, it started on crutches, right? Having to take things at a different pace, really become attuned to the body in different ways. There have been a lot of deep insights from that, a lot of changes. I'm in a really good relationship that's amazing, that almost, you can almost draw a straight line. It's like there's no way I would have gotten into this level of depth of a relationship with somebody if I was running around from gig to gig on the road. It's like there are things to be gleaned. So it's important not to judge everything that happens as some sort of personal failing in your inner work. You can get real toxic if you interpret things a certain way, and it's not my job to tell you how to interpret anything, but be careful if you are of the sort of law of attraction type of space to simplify that in such a way where everything is like, oh, I created that, I brought this on myself. There's a way to explore those questions in I feel more objective and useful way. It can be productive. So is there something going on inside me that I didn't see? And for example, in my recovery, when it actually when the fracture started pulling apart from physical therapy, which again, they're supposed to be helping you, right? But there were a lot of insights from that, a lot of insights from how I was interpreting that, and where I wanted, maybe afterwards, I wanted to force things to go faster, and realizing that's a tendency in me that upon seeing and exploring, and that was a lot, Brad really showed me that. It's like, wow, that can kind of actually, the next however long I live, whether it's 1 year, 40 more years or whatever, could potentially be way improved because of this period of pain and disorientation. So just keeping an open mind, but using these tools not as a way to judge yourself or to try to make life look and behave exactly the way you want it, but to really help you through it. I will say, and I remember working with someone on this last week where they had a tendency to like, okay, it's not going perfectly, so beating myself up about it. Like, well, but if you looked at what was going on in their life, it's like, man, everything that you're doing is good. You're doing all the right things and things are improving. It's just maybe not like 100% flawless and perfect, but you're doing things right. Life isn't just the perfect straight lines like the stock market. You just buy at zero and it just never stops going up to 10 million, right? Things go up and down, they have their bumps, but you are growing, you are learning from it. That's what you want to be checking in on, in my opinion. If things are happening consistently in repetitive patterns, And they are, for example, like you're forgetting to fill out a form and then the deal doesn't go through. But then you do it again and you do it again. Or you're doing something in a relationship where it's like, yeah, you really didn't need to send that nasty email. And then 2 months later, you're doing it again. That's something I think lends itself more to, okay, we want to examine this. We want to find out what's going on. But there's a difference between that and like, I got sick, I must be doing something wrong, or I fell, or COVID closed my business, right? So managing this with understanding that life happens. And I mean, people way more advanced than I'm ever going to be. I mean, Buddha died of a disease. Jesus didn't have the happiest ending that a human could have, and he was he was pretty spiritually advanced, to say the least. So if that could happen to him, I'm not going to think things won't happen to me. But using these processes to help navigate that with better grace and better clarity, and using them when they happen, right? You catching yourself in the self-judgment, in the victim feeling, and you may be an actual victim and that something actually happened to you, or you may be an actual victim of a crime. But then to use these tools to help process that, to help move forward, to help the things that are in the past be processed and be allowed to be in the past where they took place, and help yourself move forward and help yourself have better clarity. So stay in touch if you like this type of work, if you like what I'm doing and you want to support it. The best way is to share it with someone else if you like what I do. Also, more people on these calls. We got a nice group today. I always feel like that makes the whole thing, the whole energy work better and be more powerful. So does anyone have any questions, comments, feedback on what I talked about there? Anything you'd like to share? Oh, thanks, Alicia. She put something in the chat there in case people listening to the recording. I just got an amazing encouragement that I wanted to share with you. Believe in us and what we want. It's easy when we are having a good moment, but roaring like a lion, really believe in yourselves, in our life, our inner resources when there is no hope. That's beautiful. Yeah, that's really significant. That, yeah, it's like we were saying in the other section, it's easier when it's just sort of a good moment. But to really kind of dig deep when it's like, man, none of this stuff is working, I don't know what's going on, that's a great time to really dig deep and explore your beliefs and feelings and use these tools. Okay, the inner work I've done on money through these calls really helped me in 2020. Oh, I'm really glad to hear that. Hoarding my money and withdrawing from life might have been my reaction a few years ago. Now I follow my intuition even when my head is screaming, stop spending money. That's amazing. That was a big one for me, where it was always just save, 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 save. And I can't remember, it was probably maybe, I can't put a number of years on it now. The time goes by so fast. I'm so much older than I always think of myself as being. But when seeing that, like, no, this feels right. Even if this is like a good bit of money, this is right for my growth. This is the right next move. I'm going to invest in this. I'm going to spend. I'm going to take this class. I'm going to buy this piece of equipment that maybe it's a little bit of investment, but it's going to make my life flow so much easier. The return on it is always so significant. And I'm really glad you're recognizing the difference between just a voice, just a part of you that says, stop spending money, as though all spending is equal, and actually feeling into the distinction between those different things. I also have taken advantage of expert workshops in the area of my spiritual growth, career, and creative interests. Same here. I may not have a lot of money today, but I've managed to have enough. I feel like I've come out ahead. Beautiful. That's an amazing insight, and I feel similarly. Like I always find it comes back. Oh, thank you, Sarah. I just want to say thanks for your help. I got the doctorate. Sarah's been working on a doctorate for some time. I should thank you directly. Well, I'm glad if anything we did together played any small role in that, Sarah. I certainly did not do the hundreds of hours of research and writing and defense, and all of the stuff, that was all you. So thanks to you for being an example of showing that you actually can persevere and, manage the inner challenges of those types of massive undertakings with the reality of academia and people making that stuff complicated and how that whole world works, which is a deep one for sure. Yeah, congratulations. Gilbert said congratulations to Sarah. Anyone else, feel free to type your comments, questions into the chat. I will put into the chat, like I said, email me directly if you are interested in the one-on-one monthly. I have one, I'm taking one more person. But for the free stuff and everything else, innerworkcoach.com, that also, of course, oops, I send it to myself, also has the email contact form and all that stuff. I mean, you all pretty much know me. I think you're all in the Facebook group. But anyone else watching this, innerworkcoach.com. So I will just give everyone another moment. Again, I'm just doing it by just by text today. I will do some calls where we work live one-on-one, but that's not today. Okay, well, if that's the case, I will just take us through a quick little, well, I say quick, let's see where it goes. I will try to make it on the quicker side, just to set some grounding for all of us in 2021. Oh, Alicia says, congratulations to Sarah. So everyone just take a nice deep breath. And whether you believe and acknowledge the whole new year, new start thing or not, just take it on for the purpose of an exercise, just for the hell of it. Just looking even at, okay, today is a new day. This moment is a new moment. And first, give yourself a little bit of space to feel everything that's been building up over the last year or so. All the different goals and ambitions, some of which maybe you achieved, like you got your doctorate. Others maybe didn't go as planned. Maybe you had your life trajectory completely turned around with all the changes that took place globally this year. And as best you can, see if you can step backwards from your own emotional judgments about it, your own sense of your own role in it, any judgment towards yourself, any judgment towards life or the world, or frustration about how things unfolded. Not to dissociate from them. You can feel all of that. It's just fine. But taking a step back just a little bit from your own judgments of it, your own interpretations of it, even the good ones, even the ones that say this is some sort of, dawn of a new age. And just sensing, okay, this is just what happened. Life has just happened the way it has. Whatever role I may or may not have played in that, it brought me to right here, right now. And right here, right now is the highest possible leverage. This is the one place where I can best use my attention, direct my energy and my attention in the way that's most in the direction that I want to go. And just take another deep breath, making that a visceral experience, not a concept of being present or being in the moment. You're already here in this moment right now. And as you just bring your attention from your right shoulder, just really noticing any tension, any feeling over on your right shoulder. And now bring that attention over to your left shoulder. That's an ability you have. It's kind of mysterious, but in exactly the same fashion. I want you to put your attention now on all the things that bothered you about 2020, all the judgments you have about yourself, all the judgments you have about the way things have happened, just like it's your left shoulder. And now just like you move your attention over to your right shoulder, just put the attention on that here you are in the present moment. What's ahead of you remains to be seen. And just as easily as putting it on your right shoulder, you can put your attention on, well, what does matter to me? What do I want to spend more of my time doing? I'm probably going to be doing some thinking. I probably haven't completely shut off my mind, in which case, what are the direction of those thoughts I'd like? And then going a level deeper than that, what does it feel like to be doing those things I like or I love or that matter to me? What will it feel like when I have those people signing up to work with me, or when I'm really connected with somebody, whether that's selling them a product or teaching them, or they're taking one of my meditation classes and they're really getting something out of it, or they're reading my doctoral paper and saying, wow, we need to hire you. Notice you can actually feel that. And it's just as valid, it's just as real to be feeling that in this moment as it is to focus on something that upsets you and feel that in this moment. Because where you physically are right now is just sitting or standing wherever you are, listening, hanging out with each other. That's where you actually are. But where's your attention going? So exercise this ability to put the attention in that direction. And that direction may be more inwardly oriented for some of you, maybe more of like a spiritual sense of, I want to go even deeper into this sense of, whatever I am. That's no different than that desire to be playing an instrument. You'll notice it's sort of choosing you. It's pulling you in a particular direction. You allow yourself to just be pulled in that direction. And you'll notice that it's happening in its own way for each one of you. I doubt anyone else here is being pulled in the direction of, seeing yourself playing acoustic bass on stage with the same people I am, right? And you couldn't make yourself want that. Could any of you meditate enough to say, "Oh, now I want to be a professional bodybuilder because I decided I wanted to want that"? It's just deciding to put your awareness on, what am I drawn to? What feels right? What makes me feel more connected to myself, more connected to other people? And it's okay if it's not attached to any particular action or outcome. Just sink more deeply into the feeling itself. Outcomes and circumstances that match will find their own way. And take another nice deep breath. And let this part of your mind recognize that this is not the same as doing nothing. You are choosing, so to speak, to be here, to direct your attention. Nothing is stopping you from being in a political argument on Facebook right now, yelling at somebody for being an idiot. That's one click away if you want it. And to anyone who's doing that, they could join us in 2 clicks. It's a matter of where you're directing your energy and attention. And I'm super happy and flattered that any of you decided to spend it hanging out with me here. So you're all actually giving me that, giving me the real life version of it, something I like to do. So let's let that circle back to you. So you take this energy from it so that, maybe by the end of the day or week or month or year, you're actually experiencing something that maybe at a previous time you would have just written down as a goal. Just allow yourself to feel being on the other end of that. And what you may notice is sometimes it's not as glamorous as our mind makes it out to be. It's better than that. It's real. Think of the reality of actually getting that email from that person or seeing those people in your class or seeing that deal closing on your house. And just allow it to come to you in whatever step it is. It might just be the next step in the process. And if you like to tap, you can go ahead and tap on the collarbone or at any other points. And just letting it sink in, even just an openness. Just see if you can be open to the idea that you deserve to have it. That you already deserve to have it. It's not necessarily a reward you get because you finally did enough work. Be open to the idea that the steps you do have to take, maybe the inner work you do is just part of the process, and that too can be kind of interesting, maybe satisfying. It might start out as one push-up and then it becomes two. But that first time you do one can feel good, and then it can feel good and exciting to do two. And then you can start to see yourself as someone who can do two. And it just feels normal. And so take a deep breath. And just notice that the act of taking in a deep breath or getting a glass of healthy drinking water after this call feels normal to you. There are people on the planet who, if you gave them a clean glass of drinking water, would say, holy, I can't believe this. This is a miracle. And so the reason I bring this up is that there are a lot of things you do that are really amazing and fortunate and exceptional. And it's not like every time you do them, like everyone on this call has things they do professionally that I couldn't do. But to you, you probably just wake up and it's like, yeah, just had a client today. Or Brock just like went and fixed someone's roof. I can't even like put two pieces of wood together. But you don't necessarily see them as exceptional or significant, but they are. And so just tuning into this baseline sense of things that, yeah, I can do that. And I've been noticing more and more that that's a lot of what this is about, right? It's those things that just feel like, yeah, I can do that. I think a lot of people now who've had multi-million-dollar bank accounts for years, they just like, oh yeah, I have that. And so some of their thinking and conversations just, okay, yeah, I should invest this here. Where should my life insurance? They don't wake up every morning and go, oh my God, $1 million. So allow yourself to just take some ownership of what you want as though it's just yours and it's natural. You can still be super grateful for it. You can still be going deeper into it and being curious and interested in how to do it better and how to go further. But it just feels like it's something you have, something you can do. So just allow yourself to feel that in a natural way. Doesn't have to have the fireworks. Doesn't have to be something you have to meditate on for 20 minutes just to even feel like it's possible. Whatever amount of it you can feel like you can just own. And again, opening up to this idea that you innately deserve it. You can think of a pet or a dog or a cat, maybe a young child if you have a niece or a child of your own. There's an innate sense of wanting them to have everything good and for them to be happy. And you're no exception to that. Imagine there's something larger than you that sees you in the same way. They just want you to have it. Not because you've appeased it or done all the right work, but because it just likes to see you happy. And just taking that with you going forward. Let's take one more deep breath. Okay, I know I'm a little over time here, but I wanted to make sure to get to all of that and get to that exercise today. So thanks for your patience. Thanks for hanging out. If anyone has any last minute comments in the chat, just let me know. Oh, thanks, Alicia. Thank you, Sarah. Thanks for the kind words. Brock, I just got your message. I will hit you up. Okay, very good. Thanks so much, everybody. Appreciate you all being here. I'll be looking, part of what I was talking about with clarity has been as much for myself. I know some of you here facilitate and do your own things, so hit me up if you're interested. You're free to advertise them in the Facebook group if they are related to inner work, and you do your own call. I know Alicia, she's on the call. She does nice EFT calls. So those of you who are here who want to do something or potentially collaborate, just reach out. And I look forward to talking with you more this year. Okay, thanks everybody. Oh, good thing I broadcasted this on Facebook because I did not record it. Very good. Okay, thanks everyone.